Hey guys, Constance here. Welcome back to A Good Life Farm. So I spent most of the day, well, a good portion of the day, doing a little bit of cleanup out here, doing some mowing. I came out here and mowed everything that was desperately needing to be mowed. Mr. Smith was actually over at a friend's helping them get some work done over there. Actually took our tractor over there to help them out get something done. So I used the zero-turn mower, Mr. Smith's toy. I will admit that the zero-turn mower is kind of growing on me a little bit. I have kind of gotten the hang of it, of using it. However, it does jostle a lot, I've noticed. It's very bumpy. I still prefer my John Deere, because my John Deere has a steering wheel, so if I want to, I can take a hand off. Yes, but I have gotten the hang of the zero turn, so at least I'm not like running things over anymore. So I did some mowing, kind of put some things away. Basically, we've been getting ready for, is it Ida that is coming? That big old hurricane out there in the Gulf is supposed to be heading this way. Now, I don't know how much we will get of it. We are actually up in northern Alabama, so we are, several hundred miles away from the coast. But I fully expect we are supposed to get some thunderstorms. It actually started sprinkling a little bit this afternoon. I was in the house baking some bread and working on that, and at one point when I looked up out the window, it was coming down, and every now and again we get some little gusts of wind. So today I thought I would come out here and sit under the loofah trellis and just kind of chat for a little bit. So several years ago, when we had first moved here to our homestead, I filmed a video. It was probably the first year that we were here, where I talked about how we came up with the name of our homestead. We call it A Good Life Farm, and why I call it that. But we've got a lot of new folks around here, and I thought I would kind of touch on that again for everyone who's new here. And actually, I don't know that I shared the entire story back then as to why I wanted to call it that. I don't remember. So if I did and you guys remember, great. But I thought I would share that again. So most of you know, or many of you know, that we were an active duty Army family, and we spent 25 years of moving all over the place. Every couple years or so, we would pack up and move to a new house, and whether it was the Army issuing orders and sending us someplace else, or we decided we hated the neighborhood and we needed to get out of there, that happened a few times as well. Until we ended up in the country. Then we were very content. I grew up in town. I was not a country person, although I always knew that someday I wanted to live that way. It has always had a draw for me. It has always been just in my blood, I guess. And thankfully, Mr. Smith, my husband, Jeff, kind of felt the same way. He grew up as an Army brat. So even in his childhood, he was constantly moving. But we both wanted to someday just have a place in the country where we could just have some peace and quiet, have a little bit of land we could call our own, and live a simple life. So when we got this property, to us, this homestead, this little piece of land, This is the good life that we waited a really, really long time to have. And so that is one aspect as to why we came up with the name A Good Life Farm. Well, I came up with the name, and Mr. Smith agreed to it. So the reasons behind it are partly both of ours, but partly mine. The second way, or the second aspect as to why we call it A Good Life Farm, is the way we do things. Now, there's all different kinds of homesteaders out there. There's as many different types of homesteaders as there are homesteaders, I think. Everybody has their own way of doing things. Everybody is on their journey and figuring things out and figuring out what works for them. And for me, I want everything that lives here on our homestead to have as good of a life as possible. So the rabbits that we have raised in the past, and we do still have a couple that are living out their days, they live in rabbit tractors. I don't keep rabbits in hutches. It's my personal preference. I built rabbit tractors for them, and twice a week they get moved to fresh ground so that they can eat grasses and clover and run around and have their feet in the dirt and just live life. And and that kind of goes for everything that we have here, whether it's the chickens or the goats or just everything. We want everything to have the best life we can possibly give it. It doesn't mean we're going to do things perfectly, because we're still learning. There's always challenges, whatever it may be. But we do our very best, and we do a lot of research, and we talk to others who have experience, and we do our utmost to make sure that all of the animals have a good life here. And then the kind of third part of that is, it's kind of a little bit of a cliche statement, but there's a very common phrase that is often spoken within the Christian community, and that is, it is a good life living for the Lord. This here, this homestead, this is our good life, and it is a blessing to us, and we are grateful for every single day that we have on it. We are very grateful to have this homestead. We do not take it for granted. Every single day I am grateful that I get to wake up and watch the sunrise and watch the mist float across the pasture. I get to come out here and greet the goats as they holler every morning and just live this life. I am just very grateful for it, and I do not take that for granted. That saying, it's a good life living for the Lord, even if everything falls apart and for some reason we lose this home, because you never know what's going to come tomorrow. We have had so far, over 5 years living here and living our dream life, living this good life that we waited so long to have. So I am eternally grateful for it. And even if things do, go south, because tomorrow is not promised, it is still a good life, because even if the whole world goes to hell in a handbasket, we always have that promise of what is to come. Because this place where we're living, it isn't permanent, and we're looking for that place that is being built, that one that is to come. So it is a good life living for the Lord, no matter what. No matter what trials may come, no matter what hardships we face, it is always a good life. It is always good life because we have that hope of that promise. And so, for me, a good life farm has so many meanings. Not just the good life we wanted, not just a good life for everything that lives here, but it's a reminder that it is a good life living for the Lord.